Greetings and salutations. Hi friends. So, I haven't done a reading vlog in like a year and a half. It's been a hot minute and I've been wanting to make other ones, but every time I think of doing it, I end up just like reading the book off camera and like living my life, and then oh, I don't have content anymore. Sorry, I've read it now. But there is a book that has been very, very popular for a long time now, and I cannot tell you how many people have recommended it to me over the years that I haven't yet listened to, that I bought myself for Christmas. And I thought I could do a reading vlog of that here because so many people have recommended it to me that like maybe some people will want to watch this. I don't know, I honestly just kind of miss making reading vlogs, so I wanted to make something. But it is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. I bought myself the illustrated anniversary edition for Christmas because I'm cool and bought myself books for Christmas. I know like nothing about this besides the fact that a lot of my audience have recommended it to me, a lot of my friends have recommended it to me, and every time you look for book recommendations based on Evelyn Hugo, this book gets recommended, which is a very good sign considering Evelyn Hugo is my favorite book of all time. I know like nothing about the plot though, very, very little. I believe, I'm not even sure, but I believe it's a fantasy, which means that you will be seeing me be confused for a good 150 pages probably, but that's what fantasy is. Yeah, I'm gonna be taking the dust jacket off because I'm not a fiend. But yeah, let's read Addie LaRue, I guess. Also, I look fucking terrible and you can just deal with that. I'm gonna cry while editing this, but it'll be fine. I just got really excited about the fact that this seemed to be set like in the medieval past. We were in like the 1700s. We've jumped forward to 2014 and I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little upset. I was excited to be living in the past, but you know, maybe this will be less confusing for me because we're in 2014 New York, so hope I run into Taylor Swift. Once the darkness teased the girl as they strolled along the scene, told her that she had a type, insinuating that most of the men she chose, and even a few of the women, looked an awful lot like him. Do we have a bi-man character? Hello? I am nervous to make any kind of commentary on this early. I'm like 15 pages in. I'm nervous to make any kind of commentary because I know that I will be misunderstanding a lot of what's going on and I will get a lot more context for about everything later, but I cannot imagine like why she is putting herself through this scenario of like being with the same people night after night. I don't know if she usually does this or if she just really likes this one guy, but the idea of being with someone and having to re-meet them night after night and knowing that they've forgotten me is like the most painful thing that I can imagine. And the fact that she's just willing to do that to get to know these people, like I understand her wanting to know them, but I don't think I could put myself through that. And I'm like, obviously she's stopped aging for whatever reason. We'll find that out later. I'm not gonna guess because I'll be wrong, but she's done something that rebirthed her and she's stopped aging, like Dorian Gray, a 10 out of 10 reference. I got very excited when she mentioned Dorian Gray, but I just can't imagine anything more painful. And I like, oh, ouch. Take back everything I said earlier about being mad that we had gone to the present. We've jumped back in time. I can deal with multiple timelines if I'm getting some things said in the past. I'll take that. And what of heaven? Asked Adeline. Heaven is a nice spot in the shade, a broad tree over my bone. I have no commentary. I just think that was a really beautiful phrase, and as someone who is personally agnostic, just finding heaven in little moments of peace in the life that we live currently, I think is a very beautiful thing. The old gods may be great, but they are neither kind nor merciful. They are fickle, unsteady as moonlight on water or shadows in a storm. If you insist on calling them, take heed. Be careful what you ask for. Be willing to pay the price. She leans over Adeline, casting her in shadow. And no matter how desperate or dire, never pray to the gods that answer after dark. That was both beautiful and so low-key scary. I'm assuming we do pray to the gods that answer after dark. I'm assuming that's how we get stuck with, like, immortality, but sick. When Arnett Tall made his intentions clear last fall, Adeline prayed that he would find another girl. He did not, but that winter he took ill and died, and Adeline felt terrible for her relief, even as she fed more trinkets to the stream. She's kind of so real for that. There was no danger in it, no reproach, not when she was young. All girls are prone to dreaming. She will grow out of it, her parents say. But instead, Adeline felt herself growing in, holding tighter to the stubborn hope of something more. I feel so called out by that. Oh my god, that was my childhood. I know that I said I wasn't gonna make predictions, but I'm gonna make a prediction. I'm gonna guess that she prays to the old gods for the man that she's drawing to become real, and she gives up like her actual life, because she's basically a vampire. Nothing's killing her. She doesn't age. Everyone forgets her. She gives up like everything that makes her a human being and like a person in the real world. She gives all of that up in order to have the darkness, which is the man that she's drawing, become real. I'm gonna be so wrong, but that's my guess. Obviously, Adeline is going to use some insane magic kind of praying system to get out of this scenario, but it just does break my heart that this was a reality for however many women, and still is a reality for women in a lot of countries. Like, women basically only exist for men, and all they are good for is to be a wife or a girlfriend or a partner. Like, we only exist in whatever way we can service and exist for men. And like, I still feel that is true in some regard now. I still think a woman's worth is very much so defined by society, not necessarily by anything concrete, but the way that we're treated by others and how much work we get, and all things like that is still very much so determined by how liked by men we are and how much we can service them. We still look down on women who don't have children because we still view women basically as just walking wombs rather than actual human beings. The rights of people with uteruses right now is very much so in danger. It's like a depressing kind of thing, and like every time, as much as I love like medieval stuff and I love fantasy stuff set in the past, it always is jarring to be like, that's right, women had like no rights whatsoever. Cool. Okay, I was a bit of a dick. She's not doing this to get her mystery drawing man to be real. The darkness just takes the form of him. She wants a very, very valid thing, which is to not belong to someone else and to have her own freedom to make her own choices and to live her own life and have agency. I'm sorry, Addie. That's a much more valid thing. I'm sorry. Listen, I know we shouldn't have like listened and made a deal with someone after dark, and that we maybe said some too vague things, but I feel like the actual wish that Addie gave was, I want more time. You can have my soul when I no longer want it. And he is gone and taken everything that she said, that I want to belong to no one, and put that literally too. And I feel like that's a bit sneaky and a bit shit, and I understand that that's the point, but that really sucks, actually. You suck for that.
Somewhere between the first sip and the third, he sees her and smiles, and for an instant Addie thinks, hopes even now, that he remembers something, because he looks at her as if he knows her, but the truth is simply that he wants to. Attraction can look an awful lot like recognition in the wrong light.
Oh my god.
Again, I'm still very early into this novel, but I think the author is doing already such a beautiful, brilliant job of painting the tragedy of Adeline's life, of her curse, because almost every moment you almost have these not desirable, but little like conveniences that happen to her of how she can kind of get away with never paying for things, and you know, the kind of way that everyone forgets her existence she almost uses as, you know, as a way to skirt through life without having to ever worry about money or material possessions. But that is always so juxtaposed by the inherent loneliness that we feel. You know, majority of the characters at this point, or the men that we found named, or the little people that we interact with that remind her of people from her past, they seem so lovely and friendly and warm, and they're characters that we as readers want to get to know and we want to see more of. Like, everything that we just read about with James, I loved, and I was reading it being like, I want James to be like a character that we see more of. I want to know about him being an actor and know more of who he is, but obviously that's not going to happen because he's going to forget her the next morning, and there's never going to be any longevity there. And even in terms of her not having to pay for material things, she also isn't able to keep any material things. She's not able to have a home or a wardrobe or anything that we kind of take for granted that feel like home and make us tied to a place or tied to the people around us. The authors, this is so beautifully written and so expertly written already. I'm loving this. For anyone who's read this book and knows, a little altercation just happened in the stables as she was trying to steal some things from the stables that I'm not going to detail too much for obvious reasons. If you know what's happening, a situation was implied that could have happened, didn't, thankfully, and during it there's two men who are kind of trying to attack her. She gets a knife out of the coat that she stole, stabs one with it, and then he like shoves her off and she falls forward into the other guy's knife and it like stabs her, and then she ends up like getting free, running away, and she turns around and looks at them and they kind of stop chasing her as the memory of her evades. But his wound also like heals, but then she stops and like is trying to catch her breath and shit, and she's still stabbed. That seems so unfair that like she can't leave a permanent mark on other people, so she can't stab them, but the stab wounds from them can leave a mark on her. That doesn't seem fair at all. We should have a rule that no one's stab wounds last. Okay, I spoke like literally 2 sentences too soon. It has healed. Scratch everything else I just said. Again, this is my problem with reading vlogs, and like anytime I say anything, I feel like it gets like, I look like a fool like 3 pages later. So I need to just stop having thoughts. The boy's hair, though black, falls in loose curls around his face, and his eyes behind their thick frame glasses are closer to grey than green. So he's exactly my type and he works in a bookshop. So I'm gonna fall in love with this guy. And I am back on another day to film part 2 and read part 2. I'm back on another day to read part 2. That's what we're doing. The darkest part of the night. That's what we're reading currently. This book smells really nice. Oh, we're jumping POVs. We're jumping POVs. Fuck off. I wasn't expecting that at all. Oh, I wonder if this entire part is in his POV. Is Henry also a biking? Do we have 2 bisexual main characters in this book? Do I have 2 bisexual main characters in this book? Henry used to think that after parties were only for last shows, a way for the cast to say goodbye. But he's since learned that for theatre kids, every performance is an excuse to celebrate. I feel like the theatre groups that I was a part of didn't do this. Obviously, all of our performances were like very short runs, but I feel like you would celebrate closing the most, but you also celebrated opening. But shows in between opening and closing were like nothing. You just quietly went home after. Closing and opening, they both had parties. I am very, very moved by the description of like struggling with mental health or depressive episodes as a storm, and how the storm will eventually pass if we can just hold on and survive through it long enough. I think that's a very beautiful kind of phrase, and very much so something that I feel is very applicable to depressive episodes. It does feel like you're standing alone in the middle of a dangerous, massive storm, and it's taking all of your strength to kind of stay on the ground, stay alive during it. And sometimes, you know, you don't want to keep giving it that strength, but it does eventually pass if you can survive standing in the eye of it for long enough. I think that's a really, really gorgeous kind of way of describing it. I'm very, very touched by that. Also, chapter 2, and we're back with Addie, so it's not all in his POV, but I am glad that we have some Henry POVs because I'm already in love with him. The scene of Addie going to the docks is really upsetting. That's really upsetting. This isn't the same thing at all, and I'm very aware of this, but as someone who like had my first, I guess, taken by assault, there was something very real about talking about the kind of fantasies that you spin versus the reality of such a drastically different situation where there's not even any like love or trust between you and the person. A lot. Written very movingly and in a way that as a assault survivor I appreciate. It wasn't written in graphic detail or anything. It was heavily implied what was happening, and you get kind of some descriptions of the act, but it's not anything too much or anything that I think would be triggering for people. It was written in a sympathetic way and in an unpleasant but not scary way, if that makes sense. I cannot imagine anything more horrifying than being like presumed dead, thrown into like a cart of like, I'm assuming plague victims,
who were all dead and decaying, and like this is back when they would all like smell and be gross, and like just waking up amongst them and being buried underneath them, like you're not even the one on top. Like, oh my god, no, I don't like that at all. I have goosebumps. I don't like that at all. That's the most terrifying thing I think I've ever heard in my entire life. I hate that. She is careful not to push him away, careful to keep the pressure of her resistance coy. Some men, she's found, take pleasure in disregarding the wishes of a woman. Yeah. Her finding a way to drug the men so that they pay her, and then just pass out and she doesn't have to actually endure sleeping with them. Kind of icon shit, as she should, queen. Now, I know I'm wrong for this, but I'm kind of really attracted to the darkness. And I know that he's literally like a demon. He's like the devil. He is darkness. He's just taking the form of a pretty boy. But he's also being like evil and trying to consume her soul. But like, he could consume mine. Does Henry have some kind of like magic sort of thing going on with him as well? Because there seems to be like a supernatural kind of response that people have to him. Like, when Henry finally finds the entrance, the hostess is halfway through telling him there's no space. Then she looks up from the podium and smiles and says she'll make it work. Like, maybe he's just hot, but it almost sounds like he's supernaturally hot, you know? Like, people just want to, like, be with him and do whatever he says. Like, to an unhuman level. Like, no one will be tripping over like this for a man without magic, you know? I need everyone in this book to stop being my type, because I'm in love with Sam now too. Already kind of was, and now she's just with open arms brought Adeline into her apartment, given her coffee to warm her up. She's got a weird little system. She's got books everywhere. She's got an ever-growing collection of mugs. She's just enough of a manic pixie dream girl that I think we'd get along and understand each other's little weird and like, she wouldn't judge me for being a little bit weird and having my own little system of things, because she would too. And she's just like such a sweetheart. She's an artist, which I am on my knees for every artist I ever meet. Like, need it to stop, because I can't be in love with this many characters in one novel. It will break me. Obviously, walking and existing alone as a woman in the 1700s was drastically different to how it is today. And when she speaks of how women of a certain class are never seen alone, and it's a scandalous to even walk alone in the morning as a woman, but to walk alone at night as a woman is saying that you're only one kind of person. You are almost always usually working in prostitution, and that is the only reason for a woman to be walking alone at night. But I feel like that's almost still true today. Obviously not to the same extent, but it is still quite scandalous and dangerous to walk alone anywhere as a woman. It's not uncommon or scandalous to walk alone as a woman, like during the day, during morning, but how many times are women told not to walk alone at night still, because they're putting themselves at risk of predators, because, you know, it's our fault that predators exist and it's not their responsibility to not assault us. We have to take the blame and make sure that we're being cautious, even though no level of caution will ever actually protect us. Even like during the day, if you are walking alone as a woman, if you're not walking in a group, that almost still gives people a certain idea of you and almost gives other people permission to interact with you and feel like they are owed your company because you're alone, in ways that don't really happen even as a group. And obviously, like, the same extent, the same situation does not apply today, but it's so interesting how, at least in my experience, women like being alone, going places alone, walking alone, especially at night, is still such a taboo thing and still a scandalous thing to do. I'm going to assume I'm right in my guess that, like, for whatever reason, because Henry has some kind of magic and curse, whatever, done to him as well, he'll be able to remember her. But her, I hope I'm wrong, because she's just walked up to the counter and been like, my friend bought me this book, but I already have it, so I want to exchange it. If he remembers her, this is so fucking embarrassing, and, like, I actually can't handle that, so I need him to not remember her. And I need to be wrong. Okay, he did remember her, but it wasn't as embarrassing as I thought it was. He was quite gracious about that interaction. He just kind of was like, listen, I remember you fucking stole this yesterday, so word of advice. Like, if you're gonna steal a book, don't return it to the same fucking place you stole it from. Like, he wasn't too bad about it, and then he just was like, quite graciously kicked her out of the store. He was quite he was quite nice about it, all things considered, and it wasn't as difficult to read as I thought it was going to be. So thank you, Henry, for that. Addie is a sweetheart for sticking to her word and buying him the coffee with the only money she has. But Henry is so real for being like, look, I'll fucking buy you one because I can't sit here and drink alone. That makes me feel like an ass. Like, I would do the exact same thing. Like, him just being like, no, I can't do that. And it's not even because he's being kind to her. He just feels too awkward to sit and drink by himself while she doesn't have anything. And I completely relate to that. Like, that's so real of him. I'm in love with him. Did you always want to work in a bookshop? Henry's face turns wistful. I'm not sure it's the job that people dream of, but I like it. Speak for yourself. It's the job that I dream of. If I have to ever work a customer service job again, please, God, let it be in a bookstore. They've been talking for like 20 seconds, and I'm already about to die for this ship. I can't. Her reading too much into meeting him immediately and him just brushing it up with a joke, being like, well, at least you find me good looking, and then him getting up and being like, I'm hungry, are you hungry? And holding out his hand for her to take it. I know that I'm a fucking hypocrite because I barely leave my apartment when I say this, but when I say that, like, I can't have normal interactions with people because I expect them to be this kind of shit from books, like this kind of like romantic life altering shit, and that doesn't happen, and I like the romantic shit that happens in books, and like that I'm not the kind of person that would happen to anyway, and also I never go outside, so like when would that happen? I literally only go outside to go buy coffee every day. I go outside further than my local coffee shops maybe twice a week. So why do I think that I would ever get something like this? Why do I think I deserve this? And girly, when do you think that's happening? I've just texted one of my best friends, Lua, telling them to read this book because I think they specifically will really love this book. And they were like, it's kind of one of those books that like so many people have told me to read that I don't want to read it. Don't push that agenda on me. And I'm like, you know what? I get that. I have books like that too, where I imagine that they can't live up to the expectations that people have been pushing on to me. But also, Lua, I know you'll love this book. You specifically will love this book. I don't think you watch my videos anymore, but Lua, if you see this, read this book. My Adeline, you've grown some teeth. I am not yours, she says. A flash of warning white, and then the wolf retreats, pretends to be a man again as he steps into the light, and yet the shadows cling to him, smudging edges into the dark. I grant you immortality, and you spend your evenings eating bonbons in other people's beds. I imagined more for you than this, and yet you condemned me to less. Come to gloat? He runs a hand along the wooden post, tracing the branches. Such venom on our anniversary, and here I came only to offer you dinner. I see no food, and I do not want your company. Maybe I get the enemies to lovers thing, because this dynamic. I understand that this is like just simply the truth for her, but I love the response to I want to see you again being I want you to see me again too. Not I want to see you again too. There is something, I don't know, there's something inherently romantic to me about I want you to see me again too. I don't know why. I love that. Not that I ever have I need this response. I was gonna be like, I'm gonna steal that and say that when people say that to me. Girl, no one's saying that to you anyway, but if they do, I know what my response will be now. It's just made me really very sad, the fact that Adeline can't read the novel that Remy shows her. I forgot when she was like, I can't like decipher the letters. I forgot that like, oh yeah, women didn't have educations. Women weren't taught how to read. Because for a second I was like, she's an adult. Why can't she read this? Because women weren't taught. That's right. Lovely. A lovely reminder. Stop flirting with my date, says Henry. Date. The word thrills through her. A date is something made, something planned. Not a chance of opportunity, but time set aside as one point for another. A moment in the future. And here we have just explained why I hate how in modern dating a lot of the time when you're asking someone out, people ask you to hang out. Ask me on a date. The word date is important. It has significance. It means something. Do you ever feel like you're running out of time? I don't mean in that normal time flies way, Henry's saying. I mean feeling like it's surging by so fast. And you try to reach out and grab it. You try to hold on, but it just keeps rushing away. And every second there's a little less time and a little less air, and sometimes when I'm sitting still I start to think about it, and when I think about it I can't breathe. I have to get up, I have to move. I relate so deeply to that, the idea of time, is so fucking scary to me. And ever since I was a small child, I have always felt like I can almost like see time rushing past, and every second I feel is time wasted because it's going so quick and it's passing me by and I'm missing everything, and I can't grab it and I can't make it stop. And oh my god, that hits so close to home. I've just read about her night with Remy and it was so beautiful. I am so upset. Her kind of learning what sex should be and experiencing like a beautiful night with someone where it isn't just like someone using her and using her body just for the sake that she's a body, but someone actually being gentle with her and being like affectionate and showing care and excitement, and her enjoying herself and like finally realizing what that was, versus the next morning not only waking up to him not remembering her, but him giving her payment because he's just assumed that that was what happened. Oh boy, that hurts so fucking bad. Their first kiss was in the fucking rain. It was in a fucking rainstorm. How am I meant to live my life? Huh? How am I meant to go on? And the idea of being invisible to everyone but one very pretty man noticing me, and he works in a bookshop and has a cat. How am I meant to live my life after this? I know that I said earlier that like maybe I get the enemies to lovers things with like Addie and Luce with the darkness, but like now having the actual romance started and having that dynamic compared to her and Henry, I would much rather read about her and Henry. I'm much more here for like a healthy dynamic, and I've just learned that about myself. Like the dark options, the dark romances, enemies to lovers, I think is like fun for a little bit, and then I worry, it's like it's sexy for a minute, and then I worry about like the actual implications of like, no, what is this going to do long term to our psyche? We shouldn't be with someone who treats us like this, who talks to us like this. That's actually not fun and sexy and cute, and you should be with the nice guy, and should be with the nice stalky guy who works in a bookshop and has glasses and remembers you and knows who you are. And I just live by that. Henry's just had the weird interaction with the woman running one of the food trucks, and he said that she said I reminded her of her son. And Addie doesn't think it's a lie, but it's not a whole truth. Does he have like a curse where like people see him as someone they've loved in the past or someone prominent from the past, and that's why he looks a little bit like loose to Addie? Maybe, I don't know. There's something going on with Henry, and not just the fact that he can remember Addie. There's something going on with his appearance and with time, but I'm too stupid to figure it out. So clearly Henry having a memory of Adeline does not impact other people around them. That does not mean that, you know, when his friends meet her or in front of him that they remember anything at all. But he is witnessing the memory problem with other people, so there will reach a point where he will absolutely confront her about this, and she will have to explain, and hopefully when she explains that, he will explain what's going on with him, and I will have answers. Addie has seen a piece of meat truiced up with herbs and readied for the oven, and it reminds her of the current French fashion. You didn't have to read them that bad, oh my god! She has gotten good at losing things, but Henry is still here. That's fine. I feel fine about that. It was going so cute. Henry was waking her up with kisses and they were going to go get breakfast. And Robbie showed up, and now things are weird because Henry's mad at Robbie because he thinks Robbie's being a real ass because Robbie obviously is still in love with him and they know that, and he was standoffish to Addie the night before. So Henry thinks Robbie's being an ass pretending that he doesn't remember her, but obviously he actually doesn't. And everything's gonna go to shit, and I'm about halfway through this book, which means that, like, some major fucking conflict is gonna happen sometime soonish, and I'm not ready. I want them to be happy. I just want them to be happy. I want to figure out what's going on, but not at the expense of anyone's happiness. I don't want anyone to have to be in pain for me to figure out what's going on. I'm not in the business of that. I care deeply about Henry and Addie, and I want them both to be happy together. Is this book going to end with them breaking the curses, or am I going to be really fucking sad? Is it going to end with... I don't want to think about that, actually. I don't want to think about how this book is going to end. Because it was going to be sad, isn't it? Better not be sad. No, not thinking about that. Holy shit, I didn't think she'd actually tell him everything, but she's fully going in on, like, having been alive since the 1600s, being cursed. She's going all in. If he just freaks out and leaves her after this, don't know what I'll do, but it won't be good. I was right about Henry having a curse too, having made a deal, but also he believes her. He just Believed her. No questions. He just went, you made a deal? I made one too. He didn't question her age or the validity of what she was saying. He just believed her. Also, I'm reading the illustrated edition. This, hello. Love of my life, hello. Beautiful man, hello. Fuck yeah, we're getting like a whole backstory on Henry. Thank you God. Loving this book. Sorry, I have had such a good streak with like the like novels that I've read this year, like this and The Secret History. Like I am just reading some of the most incredible books I've ever read. Maybe they are popular for a reason. Maybe I'm relating a little more than I feel super comfortable with to Henry and his whole backstory. So that's super fun and chill, and I'm feeling really great about that. Thank you for anyone who was wondering. And also Percy is now sitting on my mic, so that probably sounds great. Does the darkness appear the same to everyone, or is it just the green eyes that like everyone sees? Because I mean, Addie said that Henry reminded her of Luce, and then Henry said that Luce reminded him of like his brother, which means probably similar looking and still had like the dark hair and the green eyes. So does he appear the same? Does he always take the form of like Addie's drawings now, or am I completely misreading that? It's probably the latter. I tend to be a bit stupid. I know that this whole kind of book is like, hey, don't make deals with the devil. This is the wrong thing that they're doing, but also I would probably make this deal. If you're promising me to always like be enough for other people, I'll give you my soul. She has called herself a ghost, and she may be one to other people, but Henry cannot look anywhere but at her. No, why is that so beautiful? I need to stop reading because it's late and I have to be up at like a normal hour tomorrow. I need to be stopped. I need to like take off my makeup and like exist for the night and like rewind, do my anxiety thing so I can sleep. But like, I don't want to stop reading. I don't want to stop reading, but it's okay. I can, if I go to sleep now, I can read more tomorrow. But oh my, the feeling of loving a book so much that you just like can't think of doing anything else, and you don't want to do anything else, and you just want to stay up and fight off sleep to keep reading it. It's just the most wonderful feeling, and I feel like it's something I experienced less as an adult than I did as a child, just kind of because everything seemed more brilliant and more magical as a child. I think when you've experienced less, everything seems more exciting. So I feel like I had that with almost every book I read as a kid, but now it's a rarer thing, and it's almost more special for that though, and it's just such a wonderful feeling when you find it. And I realize this little spiel probably sounds so sad to people with normal hobbies and social lives, but this is like my small joys. These are the moments where I like am glad to exist. Hey friends, I had this plan today, right, that I was gonna wake up and I was gonna read and film reading all day, and I would have no other plans because then I could like read as much of this book as I could, because I can't read it off camera. That would defeat the purpose of a reading vlog. So I was gonna wake up early, gonna do the best thing, and then God said no. Last night, after crying myself to sleep because it was my grandmother's birthday yesterday and she has passed on and I miss her a lot, so I was very upset about that last night, cried myself to sleep. I had a dream where one of my abusers was in it and come and re-entering my life last night, so terrible. Woke up, worse headache. So then I was just like, well, shit, laid in the dark for a couple hours until that passed and the painkillers that I took worked. Then I tried to be a business girly for like hours, and you know what, it is what it is, but we've got coffee, we're gonna read now. I'm gonna do it. Robbie and Bay coming over to the last one, kind of comforting Henry after the proposal, shutting the store, getting drinks, like talking him through it, being like, new beginnings, this is good for you, is very sweet. But I'm still mad at them for having, even if they didn't know, even if they presumed, if they guessed, to let him propose without warning him, hey, we're not sure if she's gonna say yes. I think that's really shitty. Because, like, yes, it would have been heartbreaking if they said that to him and he had a conversation and it turned out that she would have said no. But to just let him propose and not have warned him when they both knew or guessed that she was going to say no. I would be so much madder at my friends if I thought that that was what they believed and they hadn't warned me before I proposed to someone. I would be so hurt by that. This book is making my desire to be seen as a manic pixie dream girl like so much worse, which I know is so toxic in and of itself, but it's that desire to be like loved and desired, I guess, that you kind of almost see when people fall in love with these like ideas of women. And honestly, there is something really refreshing about, like, obviously I love media that deconstructs manic pixie dream girls and is like, no, they're just a person. They're always like, they don't fit right into the norm and stuff, which obviously I don't, and the idea of like a really romanticized version of that, especially when I was younger, was very comforting. So I have always kind of liked manic pixie dream girls and wanted to be seen as one, even though I know that that's problematic and toxic. But this book is like making that worse. Not that Addie is a manic pixie dream girl, she's absolutely not, but the way that she is quite literally like just an idea, and she's influenced people through history just because like you only can make art about her. She is like a very fascinating figure because she literally has this curse that's like obviously not a manic pixie dream girl, but the way that people talk about her reminds me of a manic pixie dream girl, and that's the way that I desire someone to think about me. The way that like Henry's thinking about Addie right now is like, the connections are happening in my brain. Robbie takes a long swig of beer, looking miserable. I'm just saying, she's a carbon copy of Tabby. Wayfish, blonde, female. It's a long-running sore point between them. The fact that Henry isn't gay. That he's attracted to a person first and their gender second. Robbie cringes but doesn't apologize. That hits so close to home. I definitely have been with or had talking stages with or just been around kind of people who don't like that my sexuality is bisexual rather than 100% heterosexual or 100% gay. I definitely have been with or, you know, gone on dates with or whatever with people who like think that way. And it's very, very hurtful every time that it happens, but it's obviously also like something that you're almost grateful for if they kind of express that from the get-go. If you get a kind of weird vibe about that from the get-go, then that is a blessing in disguise, because obviously that would create problems later on in the relationship, extra jealousy of, you know, whatever kind of friends of whatever kind of gender. And you are kind of glad to get that out of the way initially, but ooh, it's so fun to experience. Vanessa literally burning Henry's box of Tabitha's things. Girl, you can't do that. You have no right to do that. I don't think you have a right to burn that even if you've been together like 6 months, let alone a week. I understand that like that's probably not a real example of who she is because she's like fallen under the curse and so all of her feelings are insanely heightened, blah 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 blah, blah, but still insane. You have a certain right at a certain point in the relationship, if your current partner is like holding on to ex's things and it makes you uncomfortable, bring that up, talk it through with them, maybe communicate that it makes you uncomfortable and request that they get rid of it, whatever. If you've known them a week, you don't get to do even that, but to just burn it without saying anything, just be like, you're holding on to the past, I'm helping you. Aloof. No, girl, no. Halloween, defends Robbie. It's the 23rd, said Henry. My birthday. October 23rd, that's my birthday. They're watching The Shining, one of my favourite films, on my birthday. I think they were doing that for me. They didn't know it, but they were doing it for me. I'm already in costume, he says, gesturing at his usual black jeans, his narrow shirt. Can't you tell who I am? Peter Parker, Ventures Bay, a bookseller, Harry Potter having a quarter-life crisis. He just is my type. I'm going to cry over Addie being able to draw again 300 years. I'm gonna cry. Am I a bad person if I say that I'm kind of upset and disappointed to be jumping back into Addie's past? I know that we like caught right up on Henry's life, but I was really enjoying the Henry chapters. I love Addie, but I kind of prefer her chapters in the present to at least her current ones in the past. She's back in villain right now. I don't know, maybe when she gets like back on track, or maybe I just have recency bias because everything that I've read today has been Henry. It's probably that. I'll probably start reading this chapter and be like, oh, why was I disappointed? This is great. Remember when I started this and I was like, I don't want to be in the present, I want to be in the past, and now I'm like, I want to be in the present. Go. I am having such a stressful day. Oh my god, let me keep reading. I don't want to deal with the day. Henry getting like so childishly excited over like showing Addie the like whispering arch, which by the way, things like that are so cool. The way that like, I wouldn't even say nature, but like architecture, I guess, can like create little phenomenons like that is so fascinating to me. I'm just getting excited over it. It's so precious. And like, I am so in love with him. And the further into this book I get, the more I am just aware that something is going to go wrong soon. There's going to be something sad soon, and I'm not ready for it. I love these characters so much. This world and this story is so beautiful, and I'm not ready for them to like die and give their souls over to Luce. I don't want her to outlive him. I want them to just be free of their curses and be able to live the rest of their life like in a real normal way, but I know that that's probably too happy an ending for what I'm gonna get in this story, and I just not looking forward to pain. Their little fight in the British pub is so upsetting because, like, obviously both of them are so valid. Him knowing that he draws attention to himself and that he can't get away with simply not paying for something is so fair, and him not being okay with doing that is so valid, but her also being so betrayed by him looking down on that lifestyle so much when that is literally the only way for her to exist. She doesn't choose to get by on thieving and everything of the sort, but she literally cannot make money, she cannot pay, she cannot exist in any other way. She quite literally like just has to kind of get by like that, and just she has to get by dishonestly. It's so fair that he's not cool with that, and he doesn't want that, and he doesn't want him to continue that, but her being hurt by that is also incredibly valid, and I'm so glad that it was just like so quickly he was just like, hey, it was just a fight, and he kind of extends an olive branch, and maybe it's a little awkward and tense, but they're kind of moving past it, and they have that maturity to kind of be like, no, we both know that our situations are weird, and we're going to move past this, and we're going to find a way to kind of still connect with each other, and we'll return to this subject, I'm sure, at a later time. I like that, but pain, it's making its way in. Oh, Beethoven made a deal, did he? Okay. Addie's like intrusive thoughts about being like, I could stay and be the witch in the woods after scaring the little boy who was kind of like climbing the tree near Estelle's house. That's like what I would do, I think. If I was an immortal being who couldn't really like have a home anywhere, I couldn't actually have like loved ones or anything, I think I would just retreat into the woods, like just kind of live literally on the land, get some like, you know, every now and then I'd steal some cool like dark clothing, and I just live and scare children and kind of plant folk tales and fairy tales in their minds about the witch in the woods and kind of just live amongst the trees. Alright, we're up to part 6, which is titled Do Not Pretend That This Is Love. So I feel great about this. Hi, welcome back. I didn't end up reading any more last night because it got dark and I need to be on camera while reading. I can't read off camera. So I think I'm going to try and finish the book this evening. I only have like 100 pages left, and I've been reading far more than 100 pages each sitting with this book because I've been enjoying it so much. I would like to declare publicly that it is about 34 degrees outside, but I'm sad and I feel like being cozy. So what have I done? Cranked my aircon as much as it goes. I'm in like a sweatshirt for warmth. I've got a nice cozy warm chai latte for me to drink in my fucking Frozen the Musical mug because I really fucking miss Frozen the Musical, because I deserve to be cozy. I've had a rough few days. I'm upset. I deserve to read my book in cozy winter vibes, even though it's Australian summer out there, and I think that's just valid of me. Did you do this? She whispers without looking up, and to her surprise, Luce kneels beside her in the sodden earth. His own clothes do not seem to dampen. You cannot blame me for every loss, he says. She doesn't realize she is shivering until his arms fold against her shoulders, until she feels her limbs trembling against the steady weight of his. I know, I can be cruel, he says, but nature can be crueler. I actually love that because it really sounds like he's almost regretful over his own cruelty, but also over the cruelty of nature, because nature and the natural kind of passage of time and life, like, is the most cruel thing in existence. Humanity is actually crueler. Now that I say that, humanity is crueler, but I think nature is really cruel. Everything must die in order for new life to begin, and maybe that's a beautiful thing, but I also think that's a very cruel system, that death is necessary in order to make way for anything new. I know a lot of people will think that's a very beautiful thing, but I think it's quite cruel. Oh shit, that's why he doesn't show up anymore, because she's not fucking putting the ring on ever. But why would he stick to that word? I mean, I understand why she's so afraid of putting the ring on now. Like, she doesn't want to accidentally conjure him, especially when things are going well for her, because obviously, I mean, they're quite flirty here, and I think it's been implied a lot of times that they'll probably sleep together at some point. But is that why he hasn't been showing up? Because he is now only going to come when she is summoned? Or is he gonna show up anyway? Because why would he stick to the rules of that if they have a falling out? Read the book, Ashlee, and you'll figure it out. Henry's knuckles rap on the open door, and she looks up to see him holding a plate with a donut, 3 candles stuck into the top. And despite everything, she laughs. What's this? Hey, it's not every day that your girlfriend turns 300. It's not my birthday. I know, but I didn't know exactly what to call it. He's such a sweetheart. I would die for him. I would literally die for him. I'm not exaggerating. I would die for him. I love you, he says. And Addie wonders if this is love, this gentle thing. If it is meant to be this soft, this kind. The difference between heat and warmth, passion and contentment. I love you too, she says. She wants it to be true. Just gonna go sob, just gonna go cry for a couple hours, if that's all good with you. His mouth hovers over her own, his voice dropping to nothing but a breeze. You belong to me. There is a sound like thunder in the back of his throat. With me. I know how toxic I am, and I know how problematic it is that I find that really attractive. That's really hot. I know I have issues. The sentence of this, like the opening sentence of this chapter is, the A train jostles Addie out of sleep, and I've clearly been watching too much of The Boys, because rather than picturing a train, my brain immediately was picturing A Train, the superhero. Oh no, that it's like character growth that Adeline is like, no, don't go, stay with me, to Henry, but also this is gonna blow up in her face, this is gonna be bad, this is gonna be bad. And I don't want it to be. I don't want to read bad things. I want everyone to be happy. I don't want to read it. Nope. 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 The bartender has brought back champagne with a candied rose petal in it. Nope. If I don't read it, nothing bad will happen. That's how that works. Canonically, nothing bad happens if I stop reading the book. Is Henry fucking dying? Is that why he's so afraid of... Humans live such short lives, don't they? Some far shorter than others. Savor the time you have left and know it was his choice. Nope. No, don't wanna. Don't. Nope. Fuck you. He did not only ask for a fucking year. He was not that stupid. Stop it. Fuck up. No, I don't wanna do this. I don't wanna do this. I know I just called him stupid for only getting a year, but like, I'm such a fucking hypocrite for that. Like, I am acutely suicidal, have been for years. I have no fucking leg to stand on. I also would sell my soul for less, for a bit of peace, to not feel this storm when it does always feel like, when you are tired of looking for shelter, when you know that there's always just another storm waiting around the corner that's going to come, and this is like an endless cycle that you have to live through, to want a reprieve from that, and to get a reprieve from that briefly, and then having your life end at the end of it. Like, I know that I would have done the same thing. So I'm a fucking hypocrite for having called him stupid a second ago, but also, like, looking at someone else's life, you can go, well, you're a bit stupid for that. You have so much to live for, and obviously, like, he didn't know about the different kinds of joys he would find. I'm just upset. Addie's just agreed to spend the night, have a proper anniversary with Luce the following night. And he said he'll consider freeing Henry's soul if she persuades him. Which obviously isn't gonna happen. I understand her agreeing to it because, like, fuck, she has to try something, but, like, it's obviously not gonna work, and it's gonna be painful, and it's gonna be traumatic for her, and Henry's still gonna die, and Henry's... It's not meant to be funny, but Henry's saying that, like he's talking about his death due. He's like, yeah, I wish I had more time, but it is what it is. It's not funny. It's not meant to be written comedically, but I find that so funny. That's so me-coded. They're, like, not in a relationship. She's literally just said it is only sex, but, like, they be sleeping together for, like, over a decade. Okay, I thought it was kind of like a one-time thing, and then she regretted, but, like, get it! Yes! Get it, Addie! Hell yeah! But I was wrong. They're, like, exes now. That's way more uncomfortable. Renee returns with a bottle of champagne, a visible film of dust coating the glass. Dom Perignon, 1959, she explains, holding the bottle out for inspection. From your private case, Mr. Green. Not to expose myself my small amount of alcohol knowledge, but Dom Perignon is champagne. I am learning now, and I'm now learning that the lyric in Champagne Problems is because I've never heard of Dom Perignon before, but I know what it is in here because of Champagne Problems. So thank you, Dr. Swift, for your education that you've provided me. Sorry, did not see that coming. I don't think it was real, but even her fucking choosing at all. Luce told Addie to pick a stranger to take Henry's place. Like, okay, you want his soul? I'll damn someone else. Pick someone. And this... she picks someone. She points at someone. I thought she was gonna be like, no. Oh my god. I honest to God think him playing the long game over like 30 years to try and get her to like love him and fall for him is the cruelest thing he did. Like, that is crueler than cursing her in the first place, in my opinion. It's a bit fucked up, my dude. She's lonely. That was real mean of you. Luce took her away for a fucking week when Henry only has like 30 something days left. He's losing me. He's been a piece of shit from the beginning, but I was still simping, but he's losing me now. That's unnecessarily cruel. You're not gonna let him live. You don't have to fucking... Fuck you for that. Missy decides is what a goodbye should be. Not a period, but an ellipsis. A statement trailing off until someone is there to pick it up. It is a door left open. It is drifting off to sleep. It's just really beautiful. Oh my god. They teach you growing up that you are only one thing at a time. Angry, lonely, content. But he's never found that to be true. He is a dozen things at once. He's lost and scared and grateful. He is sorry and happy and afraid. But he is not alone. Yeah, Addie just said that she hasn't told him how it ends, and we're jumping back 3 days ago, and I'm assuming that Addie has made some deal where she's trading her soul and giving her soul away to Luce finally to let Henry live or something, which is still gonna hurt me and isn't that much of a comfort right now. There's still like 15 pages left. Please tell me that like she's not just with Luce forever. I don't want that to be her ending. And she was so smart. Oh god. Oh, I'm a mess. Just finished it. Loved it. I'm really glad that I ended on that note, that we got that last glimpse of Addie and what she was doing, and the fact that she had tricked him and she had found a way to finally be free. Even if I wish that she almost thought of Henry in a more positive way. Not that she was talking about him in a negative way, but the way that she was like, you know, he was a reprieve. I was like, I kind of wish you thought more of him, but whatever. That was really beautiful. That was a really beautiful book. I really loved that. I really, really loved that. I will probably read everything else this author has ever written now, because I not only loved that story, but I think it was so beautifully written and crafted, and it just felt like a piece of art, and I loved every character and really enjoyed it. So anyway, thank you so much for watching and looking at me crying. If you did, if you enjoyed the video, you can subscribe if you want to see me making other nerdy videos. I don't have a specific niche. I just I do book videos and movie reactions and Taylor Swift videos. I do kind of anything, but you can watch whatever you please. Subscribe, turn on notifications, all of that. If you want to follow me on any other social media, it'll all be linked below. I'm a cosplayer, so Instagram, TikTok, Fan House, you can find a lot of cosplay stuff. Or if you want to see videos early and also get a bonus video every month, I have a Patreon where that is available too, which will all be linked below. And I would like to give a special thank you to Charlie, Wyatt, and Zach for being patrons. I love you. I'll see you guys very soon. Sorry that I cried so much in this video. That was a very moving book.